And Tobago, we have to deal with some issues here. The name of this video is A Totally Unacceptable State of Affairs, and for a reason. And we're going to get into it right now, because there are some things going on in this country that we, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, have to take responsibility for now. We cannot continue to have, I don't understand why water companies fill their bottles all the way to the top. It spills. We cannot continue to accept the madness that passing for leadership in this country any longer. Now, I want to put it on record, regardless of how Gary Griffith feel about this after, not my concern. Gary's a friend of mine. I think Gary Griffith would make probably a good commissioner of police. But I do not think Gary Griffith should be beholding to politicians for his appointment, especially Keith Rowley. Because in 2013, and I guess I'm getting straight in, the Express article on Sunday, front page, Griffith choice for top cup. Give me a minute, eh? I want Gary to understand. Friend or no friend, country come first. On Friday, July 27, 1990, Yassin Abubakar attempted a takeover of this nation's parliament by force, violence, and murder. On Monday, May 20th, 2013, Keith Rowley attempted to overthrow the democratically elected government of the day by trick. And we have allowed it to pass. And we've allowed it to pass because the PNM and the UNC playing games with this country's government. But it is time that the people of Trinidad and Tobago understood that all of those sons of bitches work for you. And the day you, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, say enough, all fired, let's see if we get closer to there today. On Monday, May 20th, 2013, Keith Rowley went to the nation's parliament and put in train something that has since come to be known as Emailgate. And it was an attempt, it was treason, and the fact that the DPP and the Chief Justice, whose names were called in his Emailgate, have done nothing to date. We've had a president come and a president go and nothing done to date. This man, Keith Rowley, is unfit for public office and needs to be fired immediately before he and his band of malcontents damage anything further. Before we get into that, I want to show you the state of this country. When Keith Rowley, Rohan Sinanan, Colm Imbert, and the rest of their band formed a conspiracy to fire the Superfast Glacier, to create an easement for them to go to Australia and Japan and China to find boats that they could buy, and they could do deals that PNM members are the agents for in this country so that they could get commissions and share up money. When people go to the authorities of state to report the government, you see, I am fighting multiples of matters in court because there is only me. It's me. And they realize now that the only way, the last line in the sand for these criminals in government is to shut me up. So it's defamation and threats, but we will deal with all of that. When Devan Maharaj and I are not friends, but Devan Maharaj, a citizen of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, raised concerns about breaches in the procurement of the vessels from INCAT. He wrote to the procurement regulator, that is an office of state responsible for overseeing the disbursement of your money. This is the response from the procurement regulator. Procurement regulator Monilan Lalchan says the body has no power to investigate public procurement matters at this time because Section 134, subsection N of the Public Procurement and Disposal of Property Act of 2015, which gives the authority investigatory powers, has not yet been proclaimed. As such, he says, the authority is in no position to investigate alleged breaches in the procurement of fast ferries. We up the creek without a paddle. We have nobody that we can go to when people ask, who guards the guards in Trinidad and Tobago? Nobody. There is nobody that we could go to this morning and say the Prime Minister and his entire cabinet is engaged in corruption. There's nobody. There is nobody that we could turn to. None. No one. Nobody. That is the sorry state of affairs of this country, that your Prime Minister could pick up $3 million of money that he is not authorized to spend and spend it on Maxi Coffee's medical bills. Maxi Coffee is not authorized or entitled to receive. That is a criminal act. That is your government stealing money. According to the Salaries Review Commission report, Maxi Coffee is entitled to health care in Trinidad and Tobago. No state funds for overseas trips. Keith Rowley stole $3 million to give to a family member, Maxi Coffee. And that is an unacceptable state of affairs. Trinidad and Tobago needs to wake up, you know. Because all of the bullshit artists outside there talking and defending the foolishness that this government getting away with. I watch Trinidad's #1 fighter. Trinidad's #1 fighter is a fella by the name of Dwayne Hines. Dwayne Hines is our mixed martial artist. I'll tell you something, they have no fighting sport more brutal than MMA. Dwayne Hines is Trinidad's MMA champion. And Dwayne Hines yesterday had to put out a video saying he had to crawl under his car and hide for his life because around his vehicle, 3 doors down from a police station, people break out in a fight and guns come out and gunplay. And gunplay, shoot up the boy car. And he under the car on the ground hoping to leave and go home with his life. This is Trinidad's #1 fighter. There are nobody fighting with he in Trinidad. So you tell me, if Trinidad's #1 mixed martial artist, the most trained fighter in this country, end up below his car, hoping and praying to survive, what will be your condition? 3 doors down from a police station, what would be your condition when they reach your house? That is an unacceptable state of affairs. But that is not the purpose of this video. I am just telling you the madness that is Trinidad and Tobago. And no, the country does not have to fall apart. No, it does not have to be anarchy. What it needs to be is lawful resistance. Fire the government. It is time to fire the government, and no, Kamla Persad Bissess and the UNC is not the option. It's going to come down to civil society, civic-minded patriots who have demonstrated a commitment to this country. But stick a pen. The Express newspaper ran an article, Griffith, the choice for top cop. Sorry, I'm just taking messages. That article reads like this, starting here. Again, I think Gary Griffith would do a commendable job as Commissioner of Police if elected to office by the citizens. If he's appointed by these criminals in government, Gary Griffith will be beholden to them. And it is the same reason I believe Stephen Williams can lock up Rowley. Because if you begin the investigation into Rowley, you are the acting Commissioner of Police, he will fire you and appoint somebody who will not continue with that investigation. That has been the story of this country. This is from the Express, reupdate, not an ounce of investigation, you know, not even a memory that 5 years ago, Keith Rowley called this man, Gary Griffith, a co-conspirator in an act so heinous, so obscene, but we get into that. from captain to commissioner. Gary Griffith, 53, the man whose senior government sources yesterday, you see, Trinidad, your government is being run in Trotters and Adams. As what's going on. These people getting together and making deals. So you run through the list of all the people that maybe had a chance to get commissioner of police, to remove them from the running, to leave Gary as the cheese that's standing alone, so that people will say, I'll give you a shot, yes? No problem. I have no problem with that. Gary's a good guy. I think so. But I think that Gary Griffith, and I say it again, is too close to these blasted politicians. And the machinations that went into Gary ending up as the cheese that's standing alone, I have a problem with that. These people on real bullshit. This government on real bullshit. And they have nothing Keith Rowley could do again in life. After lying to the whole world. This is a man who spent 30 years signing sworn documents saying he only had 2 children. And after climbing to the top of the heap, becoming prime minister, introduced the world to 2 full-grown men that he said are also his children. So every time over the course of 30 years, he signed any document for any embassy on behalf of the state in any capacity, even when he was swearing to the parliament for 30 years, he was lying. He was telling untruths, and those are criminal acts. That is misbehavior in public office. But we do not have a commissioner of police. We do not have a police service that could go and charge the prime minister. We do not have a director of public prosecutions that could launch those investigations. The country is broken. Because Keith Rowley can't magically produce 2 children after 30 years. Anyway, absolutely no comment, Griffith said, refusing to be engaged in any way on this issue. Griffith was National Security Minister between 2013 and 2015. But senior government sources, again, senior government sources, the same PNM that said Gary Griffith, together with Sulu Rambachan, Anand Ramlogan, and Kamla, conspired to destabilize the justice system in Trinidad and Tobago and murder a journalist. Your prime minister is a liar. According to the Hansard, Monday, May 20th, 2013, those of you who are unfamiliar with what the Hansard is, it is the recording of everything that takes place in the parliament, down to the desk thumping and the crosstalk. That's its job. That's its role. That's its responsibility. Your prime minister is the devil. Your prime minister could be equated to Satan. He's a teller of untruths. He's a double-tongued deceiver. Your prime minister of Trinidad and Tobago, you cannot let him make the decision to appoint Gary Griffith Commissioner of Police, because it will taint Gary Griffith's entire career. And I know Gary want to work bad. I don't get him wrong. It's a nice job. But this is not the way to do it. And the Express playing games and stunting for people, because the Express know the people think that the police bad. But I want to tell all you something. If police bad, it is because politicians want police to be bad. Because if politicians and prime ministers had ever wanted the police service to be clean, they would have done it. So if the police service have a problem with Gary Griffith, it have nothing to do with them being less evil than politicians. In Trinidad and Tobago, there is nothing less evil than politicians. But stick a pin there too. This is your prime minister, Keith Rowley. Mr. Speaker, sometime after that I received a package. And when I received the package, it occurred to me that there were people in this country, somewhere in the country, who must have heard the government saying how important it is in the interest of furthering transparency and accountability and ferreting out wrongdoing, that the government promised that we will have legislation sometime in the future to protect whistleblowers. This same jackass, Keith Rowley, came to office promising legislation for whistleblowers and has since brought charges against every whistleblower. That is an unacceptable state of affairs. Mr. Speaker, when I saw the emails, my first reaction was to ensure that it was not frivolous and therefore, listen to this stunting, lying bullshit artist. Keith Rowley is a bullshit artist, a shit talker extraordinaire. But you see the media beholden to him. The media is owned by organizations eating big food because of government. So the media can't talk a word. It's just me. And Keith Rowley, I want to see in a court of law so bad. Send Kwame Nana, man. You know that way I want to do. Your prime minister is a shit talk artist. I have shown this nation time and time again that Keith Rowley cannot be trusted. He is a double-tongued deceiver. He is the king of the infidels. He is a liar of extreme proportions. This man has received a package of emails that purports, among other things, to allege that the Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar, her Attorney General Anand Ramlogan, a jackass in her government Suroj Rambachan, and her National Security Advisor Captain Gary Griffith were conspiring to commit murder of a journalist. That is what Keith Rowley said he had in his hand. My first reaction was to ensure that it was not frivolous, and therefore I did not take it to my colleagues. This is bullshit. This was created in a kitchen in Goodwood Park. I did not take it to the media. No, you didn't take it to the media that hop, skip, and jump for the PNM. I did not publicize it. And listen, Denise Wren is the journalist whose life is in danger. Somebody you allege is giving you fact that this journalist, her life is in danger. She could be murdered by the government, by the Attorney General, by the National Security Advisor, by the Prime Minister in a grand conspiracy. And you do nothing with it. You don't even call her. You don't even say, hey, Denise, hey, man, fly out. Get a bodyguard. Go low. I have some info here, girl. Nothing. That is the first and most glaring example that you are either a jackass of epic proportions or that it was all concocted and a bag of lies. Emailgate, I believe, for the complete lack of evidence and the way it was prosecuted and then dropped, Emailgate was attempted treason and conspiracy to overthrow the democratically elected government by trick and fraud. That is what Keith Rowley and all who stood with him in that PNM, including Faris Al-Rawi, are guilty of today. I wanted to be satisfied that what this whistleblower had presented to the office of the opposition was information that should be taken seriously. And when I was satisfied that that was so, I took the information to the office of the president. Listen, this is a conspiracy to commit murder. He gone to the office of the president playing politics, but he ain't gone to the police yet to say, hey, Denise Wren in danger. This jackass, opposition leader, Keith Christopher Rowley, liar-in-chief, double-tongued deceiver, has a document in his hand that he readily believes to be factual evidence of a conspiracy to commit murder, but doesn't go to the police. He doesn't go to the victim. He goes to the president, who has no power, playing politics. This is what the jackass says. A document that he is about to read that said the government of the day, the Prime Minister no less, her Attorney General, the steward and the keeper of the nation's laws, and their National Security Advisor, among others, were willing to destabilize the justice system at the level of the Director of Public Prosecutions and the Chief Justice, and to murder a journalist. And hear what this jackass says. Mr. Speaker, I waited for 6 months to see what would happen. As your Prime Minister today, that jackass. This is an unacceptable state of affairs. But the reason I'm digging back up in this email gate is to expose Rowley to Rowley. Because Rowley has not yet said that Gary Griffith was not the Captain Gary Griffith at hotmail.com. Now, I work with Gary Griffith. Now, I know that that is Gary Griffith's email address. They get one email address correct in the whole email, and it's Gary Griffith email address they get correct. So, Keith Rowley has not yet said anywhere publicly that he lied, that he was mistaken, that Emailgate was fabrication, that it was untrue. He has said none of those things. He has left hanging around Gary Griffith's neck like the proverbial sword of Damocles that Gary Griffith was part of a dark conspiracy to destabilize this country at the level of the system of the administration of justice and to commit murder. And that has never been removed from that boy. So now, 5 years later, you, Keith Rowley, now that you and Faris could drink beers with him in Tutters, now all of a sudden it is okay, but it is not okay for me because you, jackass, occupy an office, and I don't care about you. And Gary Griffith wants to occupy an office, and I can't care about him. I had to care about the two offices because I had to care about my country. So as far as I see, this is a conspiracy again to defraud the country. Keith Rowley, I put to you this morning. To the media of Trinidad and Tobago, I ask, where are you on this very important issue? Keith Christopher Rowley, I put to you this morning that you tell the nation, it is either you still believe that Captain Gary Griffith at hotmail.com is capable of conspiring to commit murder of a journalist, that he is capable of destabilizing the justice system of the country, or that you lied. If you believe that Gary Griffith is still guilty, as you alleged, that you believed after your 6-month hiatus, that you readily believed it to be true, what changed between 2013 and 2018 to make you believe that that same man, Gary Griffith, is fit to be appointed as the highest police officer in the nation? You tell me what's changed, because if it didn't change, one of two things are going on here. You lied on May 20th, 2013, in which case the Director of Public Prosecutions has a responsibility to this nation to begin a case against you for treason and the attempted overthrow of a democratically elected government by trick and fraud. If you lied, if it is true, you cannot appoint Gary Griffith. Those two things are irreconcilable. Rhea Tate. Somebody sent a message to Rhea Tate for me, who ran the story as the front page of the Express. Gary Griffith cannot be the choice for top cop if the Prime Minister has indicted him as a co-conspirator in a plot to destabilize the justice system and commit murder. And we, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, have to find this unacceptable. This is not about Gary Griffith's character or his abilities to do the job. I think Gary could do a commendable job. I have a grave concern as to what transpired between Gary Griffith and Keith Rowley between May 20th, 2013 and July, what's the date today? July 23rd, 4 days. 4 days away from the anniversary of the armed insurrection and attempted coup. The only other attempted coup we've had in this country, Keith Rowley led it inside the parliament. Emailgate was an assault on decency. Emailgate was treason. Emailgate should have found Keith Rowley and his entire band of co-conspirators in jail for life, if not executed. That is the seriousness of that crime that Keith Rowley attempted when he dragged and pulled down poor Ken Gordon in the sunset of his years. Ken Gordon, a man who up to that moment I had nothing but respect for. Ken Gordon, a man to whom I would go out to walk around the savannah at 5 o'clock in the morning just to keep up with him and to chat and to hear a little bit of what he had to say. Keith Rowley on Newberry Hill, walk around the corner by Ken Gordon on Newberry Hill. I know, I used to line with Ken's son. We used to line inside Ken's house. Went to the chairman of the Integrity Commission and pulled him into your conspiracy because there were no witnesses to what transpired between the opposition leader who mounted himself as prosecutor and the chairman of the Integrity Commission, now placed in the position of judge. You cannot have a case where representation of prosecution and judge are present and nobody from the accused is present. The then opposition leader conspired to defraud, fool, and trick even the chairman of the Integrity Commission. He pulled the president of the Republic into his foolishness. He wanted to sanitize the indecency of his lies. He wanted to call other big names. He wanted to be able to say, it's not just me, it's fellas like Gordon and it's like Max. It was Max Richards. That's what he wanted to be able to do. Because without them, he is just a 6-foot-tall standing pile of shit in the opposition, in the parliament. I want to tell you something. When I speak like this, it's because I'm so upset. You know why I'm so upset? Because there is nothing and no one in this country that I could go to this morning with all of this evidence and fact and say, launch an investigation. Your prime minister is guilty. To the media of Trinidad and Tobago, Fazir Mohammed, Kamal Ethan Georges, Golda Lee Bruce, Desha Rambachan, Asha Javid, Ria Tate, Sunati Maraj, to the band, to Hema Ramkisoon, to the entire band of you, I ask, what changed between Monday, May 20th, 2013, 1:50 p.m. and today, July 23rd, where Gary Griffith is concerned, as far as Keith Rowley is concerned? This is an unacceptable state of affairs. If Keith Rowley appoints Gary Griffith as Commissioner of Police without recanting and retracting, the nation would have had appointed as top police officer a man accused by his appointer of being part of a conspiracy to destabilize the democracy, the administration of justice, and to commit murder. I want Gary Griffith to tell the nation what changed Gary between Monday, May 20th, 2013. I'm not going in the David West and Ram Logan bullshit, you know. Say all are going in the David West and Ram Logan bullshit. You see this fella, Faris Al-Rawi? Faris Al-Rawi, when you look at him, if you have to picture a soul animal for Faris, picture a snake. That boy needs to be slithering on his belly for the rest of his life. He's the only man in government that has an alias, Johnny Sukaran. Faris Al-Rawi is the only person that grew up in a dictatorship. Faris Al-Rawi is the only person whose father was a member of Saddam Hussein's Republican Guard. Faris Al-Rawi is the only Attorney General in this nation's history that has repeatedly challenged civil rights, human rights, has been on record saying the rights to free speech and privacy are not absolute, and has chipped away at the people's rights from the first minute they let him loose into that office. Faris Al-Rawi, Stuart Young's ride or die, whose 2 children were photographed breaking the law in Komuto, has lied and lied and lied, brought the office of the Chief of Defense Staff into disrepute, made more lies than anybody in our history, and is still the Attorney General. This is a nation that is being rammed down the throats of people. Government is lying, deceiving, and doing what they want. Keith Christopher Rowley, I ask you today, tell the nation, if you are going to appoint Gary Griffith as Commissioner of Police, when you said, Captain Gary Griffith at hotmail.com, you all want his words? You all want Rowley's words? Give it his exact words. What bothers me about this sequence of developments up to this point was that it could mean anything. But then there is an email from anan@gmail.com on September 8th to Captain Gary Griffith. He didn't put Gary's email address, you know. Keith Rowley was so certain that Gary was corrupt and part of the conspiracy. This is the opposition leader. He has not recanted. He has not retracted. But there's an email from anan@gmail on September 8th to Captain Gary Griffith, and the subject is help needed. Just remember what was happening in this country at September 8th. The email goes on to tell Captain Gary Griffith there is an article from The Guardian that a reporter from The Guardian called me involving our boys. So it didn't say who. Gary know who our boys is. Gary's part of the conspiracy. That's what Rowley's saying. I need you to get your feelers out there and nip the story. Gary is capable of interfering with the media, according to Keith Rowley. This is the Hansard. Call the Sunday Guardian editor and threaten Howard Ards if you have to. Just make sure the article does not come out. Anan Ramlogan, according to Keith Rowley, is telling Gary Griffith to interfere with a journalist in the conduct of her job. That person, what is it that the Attorney General would be worried about this article that should not come out? The email, Mr. Speaker, this is September 8th, and the email makes reference to an article that was supposed to come out. Lo and behold, the next day, which is September 9th, these articles came out in The Guardian. The article is Piarco Airport cases to be dropped. This just draw Gary Griffith, who you want to make Commissioner of Police, into our boys scenario that include Ishwa Galbaransing and Steve Ferguson, wanted in the United States for criminal conspiracy, self-enrichment, money laundering, and fraud. And that Gary, according to Rowley, because he didn't put Captain Gary Griffith at hotmail.com, he put Gary Griffith. And that Gary knew who our boys was, which was, Rowley went on to say, was Ish and Steve. And that Gary had not only the ability, but his role was in the Kamla Prasad Bisesa government to nip the story, to destabilize the media. And it goes on in a headline, as preliminary inquiry scrapped, Dr. Rowley displays a document. So here it is, we have an email coming from an address of anan@gmail.com to Captain Gary Griffith asking for help to block a story coming out from the Guardian, and the story in fact came out. This is the man that Keith Rowley, 5 years later, is wanting to appoint as Commissioner of Police, the top cop in the land, without recanting or retracting. Interestingly enough, another email the same day at 14:06 says, interruption and crossed out. Call a meeting, we need to talk urgently. And, Mr. Speaker, you look at the corroboration, date, time, and place. And the next thing I see in the newspaper on the following, PM calls special meeting to discuss controversial section. This fellow Rowley is a master fabricator. Don't let nobody fool you. And she chaired a special cabinet meeting at St. Anne's to discuss Section 34 problems, which was raging at the time. 2:05 p.m. So the email seems to have is a harbinger of things to come, and it came. Call a special meeting. The meeting came on Monday 10th. So an email of Saturday 8th is asking for a special meeting. A special meeting took place on Monday 10th. I leave it to you to draw your own conclusion. Mr. Speaker, another email. This is now Kamla asking. Kamla BPL@gmail.com asking Anan, what is going on? Did you see the article? I thought you had friends in The Guardian. How could this happen? Because of course, the previous email, Mr. Speaker, and this is this deceiver, this liar, this trickster, this political con artist, Keith Rowley speaking, Because, of course, the previous email, Mr. Speaker, was the Attorney General asking for help from Captain Griffith to stop the story. He was not successful. So somebody is asking him now, how could this happen? Keith Rowley just dragged Gary Griffith's entire name and reputation in the mud. Gary is now firmly ensconced in this conspiracy. I saw the article, not to worry. Remember, the opposition supported this. That will be our defense. That is the email at 2:51 p.m. from anan@gmail.com. Mr. Speaker, you may recall the effort that the government made and is still making to convince the country and the world that whatever happened with Section 34, the opposition is to be blamed as well. But there's an email here of September 9th where the germ of that idea came out. Remember, the opposition supported this. That will be our defense. You see this disgusting son of a bitch? Because Rowley and them didn't read Section 34. Herbert Volney caught all of them sleeping. The same Herbert Volney that now serves Rowley's purpose, who's walking around tongue lining with Fitzgerald Hines. The same Herbert Volney who admitted that he misbehaved in public office, that he himself is guilty of hijacking the parliament for his own onerous agenda. And he too has not been charged. No investigation, no charge, misbehavior in public office, running amok. Mr. Speaker, but the public was not sidetracked. The temperature began to rise and the government had questions to answer. And there were strong calls for the dismissal of the Attorney General and the Minister of Justice. So an email goes out on 10:27 p.m. on the 9th of the 12th. And this goes from the heads of government, according to the email, to the Attorney General. Deal with this mess. Did she speak with James? You said she could be trusted. Does she have a copy? A copy of what, Mr. Speaker? What is this copy that she may have? And she being the reporter who the AG was so concerned about, Denise Wren. According to the emails, they have some crosstalk going on. And I'm not getting into the crosstalk. Rowley. James knows this is 10:30 p.m. He cannot say anything. I doubt she has a copy. She is bluffing. I will retain him to write a letter refuting what she said. James there, Mr. Speaker. In my investigations, Keith Rowley speaking, in the understanding of all of this is James Lewis, who is the advisor, the Queen's Counsel advisor, whose advice at the time the Attorney General was telling the country, he took that advice and decided not to appeal the matter. They just brought the justice system. Keith Rowley just used the parliament to say that the justice system conspired in a fraud and corruption action. All of this came out as email gate. That Gary Griffith, who Keith Rowley wants to appoint as Commissioner of Police, is a part and parcel. I sent out a release already. Remember, everyone supported this. The PNM will lose out for allowing this to happen. Do not worry. So, Mr. Speaker, I view this as corroboration of an intent in the email, and it arriving a few minutes later on the website. The email goes on, it says, now things did not boil down for the government. Trouble kept getting worse. So by 1 a.m. on the 10th, an email goes from anan@gmail.com, whoever that is, to Gary Griffith at hotmail.com, whoever that is. He stopped referring to him as Gary Griffith and Captain Gary Griffith and starts to refer to him by his email address. We have a problem. Things are heated. We need access to taps in the DPP office. This is Keith Rowley saying that Anand Ramlogan has instructed Gary Griffith, the National Security Advisor to the Prime Minister, to tap, to illegally wiretap the Director of Public Prosecution's Office. This is the Gary Griffith that Keith Rowley wants to appoint as Commissioner of Police, without recanting, without retracting. Dr. Keith Rowley, I want to know his next move. That is from Anand Ramlogan. Mr. Speaker, I want to repeat this because I did not expect them on the other side to do other than what they are doing now. I simply want to repeat it. I want to know what his next move is. How soon can you arrange? That is Anand to Gary. And of course, the captain, whoever he is, Captain Gary Griffith, this is your Hansard, and I have it saved. So if it disappears from the Hansard, because anything possible in this mad-ass country now. And of course, the captain, whoever he is, Captain Gary Griffith, replies 7 minutes later. This is an indictment against Gary Griffith by Keith Rowley, read into the Hansard. I want you to listen to this, because this is where Keith Rowley actually accuses Gary, alleges that Gary committed a criminal act. I want you to pay attention to what I'm about to say. This is where Keith Rowley accuses Gary Griffith of a criminal act. And of course, the captain, whoever he is, Captain Gary Griffith replies 7 minutes later, I will call SSA and get B. B, letter B, capital B. Keith Rowley told the nation that Gary Griffith agreed to get people in place to illegally eavesdrop on the Director of Public Prosecution for political means. That is misbehavior in public office. Gary Griffith, if all that Emailgate did was that, Gary Griffith was supposed to be charged. How can Gary Griffith be made Commissioner of Police when Keith Christopher Rowley believes that Gary Griffith was capable of conspiring with the Attorney General Anand Ramlogan to illegally wiretap in conjunction with the SSA, the Director of Public Prosecution's Office? This is a totally unacceptable state of affairs. Keith Rowley cannot appoint Gary Griffith to the Office of Commissioner of Police without retracting, without recanting. Keith Rowley has to tell the nation, I, Keith Christopher Rowley, lied on Gary Griffith. He was never part of this conspiracy. He did not break the law. He did not misbehave in public office. And immediately after that, Keith Rowley needs to be charged with treason. This is where we act. Wake the people up. Don't wait for the media to tell you. Wake the people up. Just bear in mind, Mr. Speaker, the head of the SSA, this is who they bring into the shit now, is Bisnath Maharaj. This email coming from whoever Captain Gary Griffith is to whoever Anand is says, I will call SSA and get B. Ganpat is out of the country. He would be against this move. You know he leaks. Gary Griffith. Gary Griffith. Keith Rowley is saying that Gary Griffith is so deep in the conspiracy, he is not acting on instructions. Gary Griffith is dictating how they're going to illegally wiretap the office of the Director of Public Prosecutions. And your freaking media playing the ass with you. The media needs to be calling for an investigation into Gary Griffith based on these allegations, or that Keith Rowley be charged with treason. You can't have it both ways. These are irreconcilable positions. Your Prime Minister believes that the person he is about to nominate to be the top police officer in the land is capable of conspiring with corrupt members of the SSA to illegally wiretap the Director of Public Prosecution Office for the political benefit of a criminal Prime Minister at the behest of a corrupt Attorney General. Jesus Christ, how much further into this deep, dark and murky water we have to go before you all wake up? How could you sit there comfortable this morning knowing that you live in a country that mired in corruption and conspiracy? How could you accept that anything in that parliament is normal, decent or lawful? Now, Mr. Speaker, checks have shown that Officer Ganpat was in fact out of the country at that particular time. And the B, in our interpretation, this is the PNM before they liked Gary. This is when they wanted to hang Gary out to dry. Somewhere, something happened between Monday, May 20th, 2013 that moved Gary from being somebody that the PNM, Faris and Rowley wanted to hang, to bring him inside their cabal, where they're comfortable appointing him Commissioner of Police. I had a problem with that, you know, they do all the shit. But I want you to know, it is on your words I will hang all of you. Now, Mr. Speaker, checks have shown that Officer Ganpat was in fact out of the country at that particular time, and the B in our interpretation is the head of the SSA. Now, a response comes to him almost immediately by another email. I, which is the Anand, whoever that is, I gave instructions to B to send him Germany for 2 weeks. I want someone to monitor DPP for this week. He made some statements. Cast your mind back, Mr. Speaker, to what was being said in and around the office of the DPP at this time. Lo and behold, another email comes out, and this one comes again from whoever the captain is to whoever Anand is, and he says to him, and bear in mind, there was a request for access to taps in the DPP's office. This one says, nothing is out of the ordinary yet. This is supposedly Gary Griffith who the PNM's Prime Minister, Keith Rowley, wants to appoint as Commissioner of Police. This is Keith Rowley 5 years ago saying that Gary Griffith is reporting to a corrupt Attorney General, Anand Ramlogan, that he is already monitoring the Director of Public Prosecutions illegally, misbehaving in public office. Gary Griffith. That is what Keith Rowley is telling the nation. At no time between Monday, May 20th, 2013 and today, nothing has come out from the Prime Minister's mouth, from Keith Rowley's double-tongued mouth, to say that he lied, that it was fabricated, that this was faked, that Gary Griffith was not guilty of misbehaving in public office. In other words, I have nothing to report yet. This is Keith Rowley indicting Gary Griffith. If Gary Griffith is made Commissioner of Police by Keith Rowley, I am going to start a protest in this country that will not end until we have elections. I will commit myself to a protest without end. I will find myself in front of the Prime Minister's office and I will stay there day and night until there is an election. And I promise Trinidad and Tobago that. Because Gary Griffith said, I have nothing to report yet, but things are in place. That means Anand asked Gary, according to Rowley, to bug the DPP's office, and Gary has put it in place. That is a criminal act. Keith Rowley just accused Gary of treason. And Keith Rowley, 5 years later, wants to appoint Gary Griffith as Commissioner of Police. A man that Keith Rowley has accused of treason, criminal conspiracy to destabilize the justice system and murder. Spoke with PM and she is furious. I don't know who he's referring to. I don't know who PM is, but she might be somebody we know. But the email says, spoke with PM and she's furious about the article. What about the reporter? Tag her as well. This is the Griffith who is referred to here, whoever that is, asking the Anand if he should tag the reporter. Guardian said she has a copy of the Lewis's advice and is just toying with you. She does have someone in the US Embassy and is asking questions. Last time we checked, she contacted Counselor to the Attorney General, Channing Phillips. Do you think someone there is feeding her? Next email from the Anand, and it goes like this to the Gary Griffith. That effing whore don't have shit on me. More than likely, she called Thomas at the embassy. Now, this is Gary Griffith, and I am saying this today. If Keith Rowley appoints Gary Griffith as Commissioner of Police without Keith Rowley recanting and retracting all of this and exposing himself to a treason charge, the nation now would have to accept that every office in the country is corrupted, including Commissioner of Police, because Gary Griffith has to clear the air on all of this and what changed between Monday, May 20th, 2013 and today. This is whoever the person is, the Anand panicking that a Guardian reporter might have a source at the embassy, and the Thomas referred to here is Thomas Smitham, who is the charge d'affaires at the embassy in the absence of a US ambassador. He believes that she is talking to Thomas here, and he instructs Gary Griffith. This is an instruction from Anand Ramlogan to Gary Griffith, according to Keith Rowley. Do a trace on her. Every reporter has skeletons in their closet and post it to our Facebook people. That's Alan Karim and Marcia Braidboy and them. Find out how the F she quoted from something she has no access to. I want this by this evening. I want to know who's her source. That's Ramlogan instructing Griffith. Mr. Speaker, interestingly enough, this is the content of that email, and almost like clockwork, this slanderous email that went viral on Denise Wren got into the internet by the Facebook people, and let me repeat what the email said so you know. Do a trace on her. Every reporter has skeletons in their closet and post it to our Facebook people. Keith Rowley just told the nation that Anand Ramlogan instructed Gary Griffith to do a trace on Denise Wren, get skeletons, give it to the UNC people who will scandalize her name. And according to Keith Rowley, Gary Griffith did it. According to Keith Rowley, Gary Griffith got skeletons on Denise Wren to give to Marcia Braveboy and Alan Karim and all the other UNC noisemakers. Mr. Speaker, soon after a most vicious and slanderous attack on Denise Wren circulated, and I leave it to you to come to the conclusion as to whether there was any connection between the intent and the instruction of this email and the arrival on the electronic media soon after. And when the instruction was given, the answer from the Captain Gary Griffith at hotmail.com, whoever that is, to anan at gmail.com and anan at tstT.net.tt was, yes, boss. This is a totally unacceptable state of affairs. Now they are looking for a way out. Gary Griffith is the National Security Advisor to the Prime Minister. Now they are looking for a way out. The government has failed to convince the public and has failed to put out the raging storm. So the advisor advises, whoever it is. Right now, our best bet will be giving Gaspard a position on the bench. Let me repeat that, Mr. Speaker. Right now, our best bet will be giving Gaspard a position on the bench and bringing in a replacement. Gaspard, for those of you who do not know, is the Director of Public Prosecutions. Now they could let, no, it's crossed out. We could also feed our media people that Gaspard was part of the consultation at the Hall of Justice this year, and he did not have a problem at the meeting. Let's try the judge position first. This is the level of conspiracy that Keith Rowley is accusing Gary Griffith of being part of, that he wants to now appoint as Commissioner of Police. But no Hema, no Fazir, no Sunati Maraj, no Ria Tate, no Desha Rambacha, no Asha Javid, none. Not one of them are going to ask these questions. Not one of them, not Judy Raymond of the Newsday and Clint Chantak, who was quick to write stories that PEP candidates lost their deposits. But Judy Raymond knows Keith Rowley intimately. So Judy Raymond of the Newsday, that is owned by Steve Castani, that is benefiting from government contracts through M&M Insurance, cannot investigate this. That has as its editor-in-chief a known racist, Jones P. Madeira, whose headline at The Guardian, Chutney Rising, almost broke this country in two. So clearly, Mr. Speaker, what the email is pointing to is an intention to place the DPP in the situation. Let me tell you something. You need Philip Alexander in the Parliament. As each day goes by, I want to tell you something. Your entire business community, your Chamber of Commerce, your Manufacturers Association, the Judiciary, the DPP's office, the Parliament, the business class, the Law Association, the Organization of Chartered Accountants, all of these things are broken and it needs fixing. And there is only one person in this country capable of leading that charge, that is capable of bringing in good, honest, and decent people to undo and redo the madness that this country is. But we'll stick a pin in that for a minute. So clearly the email Mr. Speaker is pointing to is an intention to place the DPP, the Director of Public Prosecutions, in the situation where he could be deemed to be complicit in an action which the government could not explain. So it says, we could. This is all a suggestion, you know. We could also feed our media people, because they have media people, apparently, whoever it is writing there, that Gaspard was part of the conclusion and he had no problem with it. Cast your mind back, Mr. Speaker, to the number of times government spokespersons seek to blame the Director of Public Prosecution for an action that was entirely the action of the Cabinet of Trinidad and Tobago. Cast your mind back. Interestingly enough, Mr. Speaker, the Kamla BP, whatever it is, at gmail.com, who received the advice from the Annan had this to say, have a chat with Archie. Let them offer him the position. Archie is normally cooperative. That alludes to the Chief Justice. He now brings the Chief Justice into disrepute. He is saying that Kamla, Gary, Annan, and Saruj are conspiring or conspiring with the Chief Justice to offer the DPP a judge job. And that Archie is normally cooperative. So they are not content, Mr. Speaker, whoever that writer is, blaming the opposition, blaming the DPP. All of that was not working, but clearly they had a problem apparently with the DPP, and the problem could only be solved by him being removed and somebody else, as they say, bringing a replacement. Now, I want to tell you something. In all of my lifetime, I could only remember once that a DPP, a deputy or direct, acting DPP, whatever she was, jumped out themselves and made a media statement on an ongoing investigation, is when the UNC had said that they were cleared on Emailgate and the DPP's office through an acting deputy, whatever, called a press conference to say that that was not true. I leave that with you. Then, Mr. Speaker, the thing not going away at all. The email says, have you dealt with the mess yet? We're getting bad press. Deal with this, AG. This is September 11. Cast your mind, Mr. Speaker. Cast your mind back to what was happening in the country at the time. And of course, by the next morning, another email. They have a jiggery. They can't sleep. Whoever writing these emails, whoever they are, whoever Annan and whoever Captain Griffith is, this is Keith Rowley speaking. The Keith Rowley that wants to appoint Gary Griffith as Commissioner of Police accuses Gary Griffith of being part of this conspiracy and has not recanted and has not retracted. How things looking? The media having a field day. PM, whoever that is, probably project manager, is angry. The US is also on the case. Next email, and this email under the heading urgent to Captain Gary Griffith at hotmail.com from whoever Annan at gmail.com is. It says, something is not right with that bitch. She knows too much. Did you find out her source? I was the only one who had this, and she does not know Lewis. She does not know any QC that I found out from her court colleague. She quoted things and asking questions to lawyers that no one knows. Did you find out anything over how are things at the DPP? Now, in these emails, there's a fixation on wanting to know what the DPP is up to, what is happening over there. And now, Mr. Speaker, the other one. We'll check with DPP and give you a report later. The reporter does have a history. She has a file. It's really touch and go. This is Gary Griffith. This is Gary Griffith, according to Keith Rowley, responding to Annan Ramlogan in the height of the conspiracy. I will check with DPP and give you a report later. The reporter does have a history. She has a file. It's really touch and go. So Gary Griffith, according to Keith Rowley, is illegally wiretapping the DPP's office and hounding a reporter to drive her off a story. This is a totally unacceptable state of affairs. Trinidad and Tobago is in deep, dark and murky waters. If Keith Rowley appoints Gary Griffith as Commissioner of Police without recanting or without retracting, the nation should not accept that. Keith Rowley cannot appoint somebody to the office of Commissioner of Police guilty, as Keith Rowley says, of conspiring to destabilize the democracy, the system of justice, to illegally wiretap the DPP's office and to conspire to commit murder. That's coming. If Keith Rowley wants to appoint Gary Griffith as Commissioner of Police, Keith Rowley has to recant, retract, and say that he lied, that Emailgate was fabrication, and the moment Keith Rowley says that, he needs to be charged with treason and the attempted overthrow of a democratically elected government by trick and fraud. In other words, file ain't really good. She find it really good to touch and go. She was in Florida at an institution in 2003, attempted suicide. Her family at PNM. Dad was in jail and recently released. Also added some stuff and sent it to Facebook. They will take it from there. This is from the man Keith Rowley wants to appoint as Commissioner of Police, according to Keith Rowley. That Gary Griffith is capable of this. How? Which is true? Which Gary Griffith is true? Because we, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, cannot continue to allow bullshit to be swept under the rug. We are going to trip and fall. The rug tall. We'll check with DPP and give you a report later. The reporter does have a history. She has a file. It's really touch and go. In other words, file ain't really good. She file ain't really good to touch and go. She was in Florida at an institution in 2003. Attempted suicide. This is Gary Griffith talking about a journalist, Denise Wren, according to Keith Rowley. What changed, Gary? What changed, Keith, between Monday, May 20th, 2013 and today? What changed, Rhea Tate, that would allow you to create a Sunday Express, that headline that says, Gary is the top cop? How could Gary be the top cop when the Prime Minister believes that Gary is a fraudster, a trickster, that Gary is capable of conspiring to commit murder? Rhea Tate. And of course, Mr. Speaker, whoever that Captain Griffith is was not enough. This is what Keith Rowley is saying about the man he wants you to accept now as Commissioner of Police. Whoever that Captain Griffith is was not enough. He said, I will add some stuff. Is Gary Griffith capable of creating fake information to damage reputations and to get people in trouble? That's the man you want to appoint as Commissioner of Police, Keith Rowley. Which is true? Which is true? And of course, Mr. Speaker, since then we have heard the particular reporter making reference to things ascribed to her which were not true. In other words, Keith Rowley is saying, not only did Gary Griffith say that he could, not only did Gary Griffith say that he was capable of adding some stuff to Denise Wren's history, but that he did it. Keith Rowley is accusing his Commissioner of Police designate of scandalizing, defaming, and fabricating misinformation to damage a reporter's reputation. Somebody is going to set out to defame and slander her and also added some stuff. And of course, we have the corroboration of the email attacking the reporter in the context of the timing of this email. Mr. Speaker, the thing still would not go away. We are now dated September 19. And the email goes to a new party. And this party, the email goes from the said anan@gmail.com. And it goes to Suroj Rambachan at hotmail.com. Whoever the title of it, deal with the problem. This bitch, this is from Anan to Suroj. This bitch is becoming a problem to me. I am told she has copies of documents and possibly checks. I don't want to leave anything to chance. I want that dealt with. Find a way. I passed info to Facebook and they would F her up. That's not enough. Do something else to slow her. PM is angry. I assured her that things will be good. I feel like I failed. Just deal with that bitch soon. If she has what I think, then we will all be implicated. Mr. Speaker, the next email, under the heading, deal with the problem, and this one is going to Anan from Suruj. All of it is crossed out. I don't care what you do. Just deal with the problem soon. Gary has the file on her. Whatever is done, let it be done through a third party. Mr. Speaker, did you hear me? Whatever is done, let it be done through a third party. This is what, when you stand up against these criminals in public office in Trinidad and Tobago, this is what you expose yourself to, you know. This is what they are really capable of. I don't care what you do, just deal with the problem soon. Gary has the file on her. Whatever is done, let it be done through a third party. This is getting out of hand. PM, whoever that is frantic and begging me for a distraction. I don't think anything on Heart will provide that. Heart, I dare presume, is called a Heart. I also advised her to get rid of Volney, but of course she's weighing her options. And of course the options were executed and we know what happened after. Mr. Speaker, under the deal with the problem, the situation continues to worsen. The email from Suruj and whoever else in the address, it goes on to say, she will face opposition if she even contemplates getting rid of you. But don't worry, we will chat tomorrow and finalize plans for that girl. As Suruj Rambachan, according to Keith Rowley, to Anand Ramlogan, in a conversation that refers to Gary Griffith having a file. This is an unacceptable state of affairs. Trinidad and Tobago, you woke up this morning in a nation where the Prime Minister is contemplating appointing as Commissioner of Police a man, the Prime Minister, when he was opposition leader, alleged and accused of being part of a conspiracy to destabilize the democracy, the justice system, and commit murder. He puts on Gary Griffith some damning allegations and accusations of misbehavior in public office and treason, no less. And it is to this I raise this question this morning, that all of Trinidad has to be asking. This is not about if you like this one and if you like that one. Like yourself and like your country more. These are irreconcilable positions. It is either Keith Rowley thinks Gary Griffith is capable of misbehaving in public office, treason, conspiracy to destabilize the democracy, the justice system, and murder, or Keith Rowley thinks Gary Griffith is suited as Commissioner of Police. For Gary Griffith to be suited as Commissioner of Police, Keith Rowley has to tell the nation that he lied, that Emailgate was fabrication. He has to recant and retract every word that he said, because Gary Griffith, according to Keith Rowley, is so involved in this conspiracy that Gary cannot be removed from the conspiracy without the whole conspiracy collapsing. And if the conspiracy that Keith Rowley read in the Parliament as Emailgate is proven to be fabricated and fraudulent, Keith Rowley and his entire band of co-conspirators need to be charged immediately with treason and the attempt of overthrowing a government by an elected, democratically elected government by fraud and trick. Gary Griffith has to answer to the nation, and I will not stop till he does. I will not stop until Gary Griffith explains to the country, because I want Gary to tell me what happened between Monday, May 20th, 2013 and today. Because something changed in the world. There was a world where Keith Rowley taught Captain Gary Griffith at hotmail.com, whoever the hell that is capable of misbehaving in public office, is capable of treason, is capable of conspiring to destabilize the democracy and the justice system and to commit murder. Something changed, and that same Keith Rowley in 5 years believes that that same Gary Griffith, whoever he is a Commissioner of Police. But Keith Rowley has to tell, and Gary Griffith has to say, how did we get here? This is an untenable state of affairs. We cannot accept this. This cannot go through. The government of the day is guilty The government of the day is guilty. Keith Rowley, by your fruits we know you. You're a sinner, a deceiver, a double-tongued fooler, a con artist extraordinaire. The people of Trinidad and Tobago need to wake up today to the fact that we are in deep, dark, and murky waters, that there is nobody in the entire parliament you could trust. And until Gary Griffith comes straight with what went on here, because Gary Griffith has to tell the nation that Keith Rowley lied. And if Keith Rowley lied, Keith Rowley has to tell the nation how come he comes to want to appoint him commissioner of police. This is not over, but it is an untenable state of affairs. Trinidad and Tobago, wake up and stay woke and stay safe.